African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of August 21st, 2025. Last night, the armed forces of the Russian Federation delivered a group strike with precision weapons, as well as strike unmanned aerial vehicles on enterprises of the military-industrial complex of Ukraine, energy facilities that ensured their operation, military airfield infrastructure, positions of operational tactical missile systems, ammunition, and property warehouses of the armed forces of Ukraine. The strike objective was achieved. All designated targets were hit. Units of the North Group of troops inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized, airborne assault, 2 assault brigades and 2 assault regiments of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Novaya Guda, Andriivka, Novaya Sek, Proletarskoye, Katerinovka, Varakino, Sadki, and Unikovka in the Sumy region. In the Kharkiv direction, damage was inflicted on units of mechanized and motorized infantry brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Gadish and Volchansk in the Kharkiv region. The armed forces of Ukraine lost up to 115 servicemen, a tank, an armored combat vehicle, 13 vehicles, 3 field artillery guns, including a US-made 155mm M198 howitzer. 11 ammunition, fuel, and material supply depots were destroyed. Units of the West Group of troops occupied more advantageous lines and positions. They inflicted damage on formations of 3 mechanized, assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Kupiansk, Andriivka, Novy Mir in the Kharkiv region, Sredny and Kirovsk in the Donetsk People's Republic. Enemy losses amounted to up to 230 servicemen, 5 armored combat vehicles, including 4 of Western production, 24 vehicles, and an artillery gun. 7 electronic warfare stations and 6 ammunition depots were destroyed. As a result of decisive actions by units of the South Group of troops, the settlement of Alexandro Shaltino in the Donetsk People's Republic was liberated. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized, mountain assault, airmobile brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Seversk, Markovo, Nikolaivka, Minkovka, and Vasyevkovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost up to 240 servicemen, an armored combat vehicle, 2 pickups, 2 field artillery guns, for ammunition and material supply depots. Units of the Center Troop Group improved their tactical position. They inflicted defeats on formations of 5 mechanized, infantry, assault, 2 airborne assault brigades, an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, a territorial defense brigade, and 2 National Guard brigades in the areas of the settlements Krasnoarmysk, Rodinskoye, Shinishino, Udaknoye of the Donetsk People's Republic and Filia of the Dnipropetrovsk region. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to up to 380 servicemen, 6 combat armored vehicles, including the US-made M113 armored personnel carrier and the Turkish-made Kirpi armored vehicle, 12 cars, and 2 artillery guns. Units of the East Troop Group continued advancing deep into the enemy's defense. They inflicted defeats on personnel and equipment of mechanized, assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and a marine brigade in the areas of the settlements Velikomikhailovka, Dybrova, Ivanovka of the Dnipropetrovsk region, Poltavka, Olgovskoye, Dorozhnyanka of the Zaporizhia region, and Kamysheva of the Donetsk People's Republic. The armed forces of Ukraine lost over 225 servicemen, a tank, 4 combat armored vehicles, 12 cars, and 3 field artillery guns, including the US-made 155mm M198 howitzer. 3 warehouses of material resources were destroyed. Units of the Dnieper Troop Group inflicted defeats on formations of mechanized, mountain assault brigades, 3 coastal defense brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Belogori, Stepovoy of the Zaporizhia region, Novoberislav, Poniatowka, Sadavoy, and Belozerka of the Kherson region. Enemy losses amounted to more than 80 servicemen, a U.S.-made HMMWV combat armored vehicle, 13 cars, 2 artillery guns, including the U.S.-made 155mm M777 howitzer. 8 electronic warfare stations for ammunition and material supply warehouses were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces troop groups inflicted defeats on production, storage, and launch sites of long-range unmanned aerial vehicles, temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries in 153 areas. Air defense means shot down 4 guided aerial bombs and 294 aircraft-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, destroyed 665 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 78,728 unmanned aerial vehicles, 625 anti-aircraft missile systems, 24,697 tanks and other combat armored vehicles, 1,588 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 28,772 field artillery guns and mortars, 40,095 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.